We're back for our weekly NFL predictions here on the channel. We are down to 4. It is the AFC and NFC Championship games here on Conference Championship weekend, with the New England Patriots going to Denver, Colorado to take on the Denver Broncos, and the Los Angeles Rams going to Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington to take on the Seattle Seahawks. 2 of these 4 teams will be in the Super Bowl, and we are going to figure that out today, again predicting both of the Conference Championship games. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL predictions here on the channel. Later this week, we're going to have our best bets for the 2 Conference Championship games. We'll do 2 best bets, obviously, with money lines and spreads, further elaborating on our picks today, and then we'll do some player props in that video as well. Also, folks, come make sure to check out our other content here on the channel: daily college basketball best bets, daily NBA best bets, and on Greedo Plays MMA or UFC 324, Gagey versus Pimblett full card predictions for the first ever UFC card on Paramount, again, this weekend from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll get this out of the way before I continue recording this video. I am recording this video on a laptop. My PC crashed/broke, so that's being fixed right now. I think I've gotten everything all right with the laptop in terms of my setup. The only thing is my laptop fan is going off half the time, so if you do hear a fan noise, it's because this thing has a fighter jet engine going at all times. So anyways, folks, let's do it. First of 2 games this week. Obviously, some interesting circumstances around this game now, obviously with the Denver Broncos on the AFC side, and let's get it going. I am taking Jarrett Stidham to go to the Super Bowl. That might sound like a crazy proposition, but I am doing it. I'm taking the Denver Broncos to win at home. I think the defense is just too good. I think Drake May's a phenomenal quarterback. The Texans got to Drake May. The Texans forced fumbles out of Drake May. Drake May this season had the most fumbles in the NFL. The Denver Broncos pass rush is going to get to him. I get it. Houston's got a great pass rush as well. In Mile High at Denver, I know Stidham's quarterbacking the Broncos. Guys, Jarrett Stidham does not need to do that much for Denver. He really doesn't. He needs to hand the ball off. He needs to hit some throws downfield. He needs to, move out the pocket a little bit like Bo Nix. And am I telling you that Jarrett Stidham is better than Bo Nix? No, he's not. Obviously, that's why Nix is the starting quarterback. But as someone who has watched quite a bit of Jarrett Stidham from Auburn to when he was on the Patriots, obviously as he was picked to be the successor to Tom Brady at one point in time, and through his starts in Vegas as well, I think Stidham is going to do a well enough job for the Denver Broncos this weekend. I think he's ready for the moment. I think, I don't know if I completely buy into Sean Payton's, not theory, but his, thinking process that he has 2 starting quarterbacks in the league on the same team. I don't know, but what I do know, actually, if Jarrett Stidham wins this game for the Denver Broncos, the New York Jets are going to be lining up the Brinks trucks to bring Jarrett Stidham in to be their quarterback next season, because that'd be the most Jets thing imaginable. And sure, Jarrett Stidham is kind of following down the path, or looking to follow down the path of Nick Foles. A little bit of different circumstances. Foles came in week 16 as a starting quarterback for the Eagles after Wentz got hurt in LA, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously then carried through that postseason run. A little bit different because, again, Foles did not make that first start in the NFC Championship game, but here's Jarrett Stidham getting start number 1 of the year and start number 5 in the career at home in Denver for the AFC Championship game. He is 1 in 3 so far as a starter, but again, 2 of those starts are in Vegas, so do they really count? No. Obviously, his 1 win does come with the Broncos 2 years ago against the Los Angeles Chargers at home in Denver, Colorado. Interesting note that I think is very important in this game: the New England Patriots in history have never gone to Denver and won a playoff game. Tom Brady was 0-3 with the Patriots in Denver, at least in the playoffs, losing a divisional round game off the top of my head, I think in 2006, and then obviously the 2 AFC Championship games both in 2013 and 2015. As a big Tom Brady fan, those games gave me nightmares going to Denver and facing Von Miller and company, and I understand Von Miller is not on Denver anymore, but still, crazy still playing. But I think this is a good spot for the Broncos. I think a lot of people are overlooking Denver here. I think the Patriots are good, but I do think the Broncos defense is able to carry them, and I think this is going to be an ugly, tight football game. I know, again, Denver scores 33 points last week. They find a way to overcome Josh Allen and the Bills, and you know what? I'm done saying anybody's winning a Super Bowl at this point. I'm not going to tell you, oh, this team's getting it done now, because from the Lions to the Jaguars to the Bills, it just did not go our way this season. Okay, well, at least we have the Hoosiers in college football, so shout out to Fernando Mendoza and the guys. Just believe you me, we will be all over the Las Vegas Raiders next year with Tom Brady and Fernando Mendoza. I cannot wait. Anyways, though, I think the Broncos are in a good enough spot to win this football game, legitimately. I think the defense is going to play well. We know what they have in their secondary. We know, again, what what that linebacking core looks like, the front line. I'm good enough with the Denver defense, especially as a quarterback in Drake May, who is phenomenal, right? Some of the balls Drake May is putting on guys, the Keyshawn Boutte touchdown and whatnot. I mean, Drake May made some phenomenal plays against the Houston Texans, but at the same time, too, I mean, like, obviously the Patriots are going to win that game. CJ Stroud turned the ball over 4 times in one half, and yet the Patriots still found themselves only up by 1 score in the fourth quarter, and that's what good teams do, though. They find ways to win, but the Texans turned the ball over 5 times. Don't forget the Woody Marks fumble. There were so many mistakes Houston made, and I know you can say, well, maybe the Broncos are going to make those same mistakes. Maybe, but I don't think so. They're at home. That crowd is to their favor, and again, I don't think Stidham's going to need to do too much for them to win. He just needs to do enough. I think we're going to see a run-heavy approach. I think we're going to see Stidham in the play-action game. And again, I don't think Stidham's that bad. I've watched Stidham play. Is he going to have the same influence on this team that Bo Nix had? Obviously not. But I do just think Stidham is going to do enough for the team to win this week. And yes, Jared Stidham, in 2 weeks' time in Santa Clara, California, will be playing in a Super Bowl against a juggernaut, regardless of who it is, between the Rams and the Seahawks over in the NFC. But more on that game in a second. I do think it's a good enough spot for Denver. I'm looking at New England. Again, I know how great that defense is. Christian Gonzalez and company, they have a phenomenal defense over in New England, and I think Drake May is a really talented player. Let's not forget how competitive Houston was in that game, even though all of those turnovers and just the poor play from CJ Stroud. Guys, Woody Marks was the leading rusher for Houston in that game. He had 14 carries for 17 yards, and again, all the credit has to go to the Patriots defense. CJ Stroud, 20 for 47 passing with 1 touchdown, 4 picks, and 212 yards. Again, though, it was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. Good on the Patriots for winning. But if Woody Marks doesn't fumble in the red zone, I don't know what happens. Again, the Texans just continuously kicked field goals in that game. And again, that is because of that New England defense. Is that going to translate to the road, though? You're going to have to go to Denver. You're going to have to go to elevation. It's tough to play there. It's hard to breathe there. That crowd is going to be going. I got to side with the Denver Broncos. I do think this team is going to rally around Jared Stidham, and I believe they're going to play good football. I firmly believe that, man. Again, is this team going to have that same deep ball presence which they had last week with Bo Nix, obviously hitting Marvin Mims over the top? I don't know, okay? I mean, we'll see. Again, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Pat Bryant, Evan Ingram. We'll see. Again, I don't even know if Bryant and Franklin are going to be playing this football game, but I just have enough confidence in the fact that I think Jared Stidham can make downfield throws. And if you just watch him play, again, this is a guy who is sneaky athletic. He can get out the pocket. He's a decent enough pocket passer. And Stidham, I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, before the Broncos started Bo Nix last year in week 1, there was a quarterback competition between 3 players. It was Jared Stidham, it was Bo Nix, it was Zach Wilson. We kind of always felt like Bo Nix was going to be the starter, but some thought maybe Jared Stidham would get the job because of his success in the previous season with Sean Payton at the end of the year, how they did bench Russell Wilson for Jared Stidham. And yes, was that dependent on, Sean Payton kind of being fed up with Russ and I guess the beef that they had? I don't know, but Stidham felt like he should have won the job. I remember when they interviewed Zach Wilson after it was revealed that Bo Nix was the quarterback. Wilson said, well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we all expected. I hope nothing but the best for Bo Nix. And obviously we're going to try to get him and the team ready for week number 1. And then they asked Jared Stidham the same question. And Stidham said, well, yeah, I'm very disappointed in the result in this decision. I believe I am a starting quarterback in the NFL. I know I am a starting caliber guy. I'm not, there's not 32 guys in this league that are better than me. And well, hell, okay, here you go. Jared Stidham doesn't just get the chance to prove that he's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. If he wins this game, I will tell you, I think he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL next season. Some team is going to come calling on Jared Stidham next year, especially with the fact that there's only one quarterback in the NFL draft that is going to be startable, and obviously that's the Heisman Trophy winning, national champion winning, and obviously the consensus number 1 pick to the Las Vegas Raiders in Fernando Mendoza. I am still not under the belief that Ty Simpson is going to be a starting quarterback next year. Does feel like a very Jets move, and I think they'd be stupid to go pick Ty Simpson, but again, that would be a lull Jets moment, so maybe they do it. There's going to be opening jobs in the NFL next season. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers comes back. It's looking like Rodgers actually will come back, whether that be Pittsburgh or Minnesota. I think Rodgers is going to be back next season in some capacity as a starter, but there are going to be jobs around the league that Jared Stidham can definitely fill into if he wins this football game. And again, don't underestimate this guy. I think it's kind of atrocious. I think it's kind of ridiculous the Broncos are 5.5-point dogs. It is the biggest underdog a team has been at home in a championship game, NFC or AFC, in history. Which, again, the Broncos, guys, have had so many games this year, and I know, again, Bo Nix is a game changer at times, right? His ability to escape sacks, and again, that's just his entire thing. Nix doesn't get sacked out there. His ability to extend plays, keep drives moving. Let's not forget, though, there were so many games throughout the course of the season the Broncos won because of their defense, and solely because of their defense. They're used to this, and this is nothing against Bo Nix, but we have seen games this season where Nix has been atrocious, and obviously, last week against the Broncos, he's the reason they win that game. Sure, the defense in spots, too, but Bo Nix, his ability to drive down the field in that final drive, albeit with 2 big penalty calls, but the way that, again, he's able to respond after the Bills finally retake the lead late in that game. The Broncos don't win that football game without Bo Nix at quarterback, but still, throughout the course of the season, we have seen games where their offense has been horrible, and yet their defense has found ways to get stops, force turnovers, and get the offense the football back. I'm not telling you the Broncos need to win a 6-3 or a 10-7 type game this week, or hell, a 13-11 game like they did against the Jets in London earlier this year. They just need their defense to really show up in a big way, and at least show up enough against the Patriots team, who I think is good, but I don't think they're that great. I think Drake May, I'll tell you this, I believe Drake May should have won the MVP this season. I know, again, that hasn't been, officially declared and announced, but I think we all know it's going to be Matthew Stafford, even though, again, I don't agree with that. I believe it should be Drake May's award. I'm still not over the moon about New England. I'm not. Now, again, this is no secret. I don't think the winner of the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl. I think we all believe that the winner of Rams Seahawks is going to be the Super Bowl champion, but who knows? Again, the Super Bowl, weird things happen, obviously. You get 2 weeks of game planning going into that game. Again, anything can happen. I think, maybe the Patriots are more well-equipped to win the Super Bowl, but that's neither here or there. This specific game is in Denver, Colorado, and I believe in this specific game, the Broncos are going to get it done, especially because I don't think the Broncos are going to have a quarterback, and even though he's a backup in this league, I don't think Jared Stidham's going to turn the ball over 4 times. I just don't think so. I don't think that, RJ Harvey's going to fumble the ball at the 10-yard line when his team is driving. The Texans made so many mistakes, and their running back had 14 carries for 17 yards, and yet going into the fourth quarter, that was a 5-point game, which could have been a 2-point game at the very least if Marks didn't fumble. And I know the Patriots immediately respond after the Texans cut that game to 5. The Drake May pass to Keyshawn Boutte in the end zone. Again, that is great. But they really took that Texans team to the wire when that game should not have been competitive, and that was because of the Texans defense getting to Drake May, sacking Drake May, and forcing fumbles. I know what you can say, the snow, the conditions. Yeah, you're going to Denver. Again, it's not going to be as snowy. I'll check the weather currently in Denver, Colorado. Obviously, we're not talking about the Northeast like we are in Foxborough, Massachusetts, but it's going to be a cold game. At kickoff, it is going to be 28 degrees in Denver, Colorado. I mean, if the Patriots played a sloppy game at home, they're probably going to play a sloppy game on the road against Denver, against an even better defense. The amount of stars and all-pro players in the Broncos D, I mean, the impact that players like Talanoa Hufanga, Pat Surtain, Nick Bonita, Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton, these guys, man, this defense is it's phenomenal. And here's the thing, Riley Moss wasn't completely being picked on last week. Now, there was a moment where maybe it should have been a pass interference on Moss against Brandon Cooks, but that's neither here or there, and I'm not going to state my opinion on the Brandon Cooks, catch/interception. It is what it is. I'm going with Denver. If you don't like the money line, because I get it, that's a little bit of a stretch, plus 205. Take the plus 5.5 for the home team. I don't think the Broncos get blown out, even with Stidham at quarterback. I'm taking the Denver Broncos to go to the Super Bowl and beat the New England Patriots. New England 0-3 all-time in Denver in the postseason. That was with Brady. I think it continues with May. On to the NFC side of things, to Lumen Field. I've gone so back and forth on this. I'm taking the Los Angeles Rams to go to the Super Bowl. I believe they're going to step up in this spot. I just think so. Guys, when Caleb Williams made that play to score that touchdown, that pass to Cole Kmet, when he dropped back to the 40-yard line and launched a ball off his back foot, I was under the belief the Chicago Bears were the team of destiny in 2025 and 2026. I mean, again, were they really going to go to Seattle to win? I don't know, but that was a moment that I thought 100% was going to push Chicago over the top, at least in that game on Sunday night against the Los Angeles Rams. Ultimately, Los Angeles forces an an interception after, by the way, going 3 and out. The Rams get an interception, and, Matthew Stafford and the Rams work the ball downfield and ultimately win the game by 3. Hey, we had plus 3.5 for the Bears, so I'm not complaining too much. Rams Seahawks, this is the best game we could have gotten in the NFC Championship game in Seattle. These teams are 1-1 this year. I do think it is important to say, though, the first victory for the Rams, or the only victory for the Rams against the Seahawks this year, Darnold played his worst game of the year. 29 for 44 passing for 280 yards. Again, there was a late game comeback for Seattle in that one that fell just a little bit short. But Darnold did throw 4 interceptions. Now, that game was in LA, and the Seahawks did get an opportunity at the very end. They kicked a 61-yard field goal that missed from Jason Myers, and that was short. But they still had an opportunity late in that game to potentially beat Los Angeles, even though Darnold threw 4 picks. Second game, one that the Rams should have won, I'll tell you that. Again, credit to Seattle for getting that victory. Thursday night game, one of the best games of the year. Rams lose at 38-37. Matthew Stafford cannot get a single completion on the final drive of the game. In regulation, 1st and 10, a first down does it for Stafford. He throws 3 incompletions. Seahawks get the ball back. Game goes into OT. Stafford threw for 457 yards in that game on Thursday Night Football. 3 touchdowns, 29 for 49 passing, and yet his team still lost. Puka Nacua had 225 yards on 12 catches and 2 touchdowns. The big factor, though, and the big difference going into the third Rams-Seahawks encounter is Davante Adams. Davante Adams is playing this football game. He was not healthy for that first game between the Rams and the Seahawks. That is a massive difference. Because now, again, you would think all the attention's going to Puka Nacua like it did in that second game for Seattle, and yet he still burned them for 12 catches for 225 yards. Now what happens when you have another all-time great receiver? Obviously, again, Puka is on his way to being an all-time great, but Davante Adams is already an all-time great receiver. What happens when you put him on the opposite side of the field, and now you got to worry about 2 elite targets for Matthew Stafford? And I understand, Seahawks defense last week, they embarrassed the San Francisco 49ers. How about 6 points for San Francisco in that entire game? The Seahawks on the opening kick return from Rashid Shaheed. That was all. I mean, legitimately, that could have been the only time the Seahawks scored was 9 seconds into the football game or 12 seconds into the football game. Those 9 points were all that was needed for Seattle to win the football game. Obviously, they end up scoring more than just 7 points as Seattle wins it 41-6 on their own home field. But the Niners, man, eventually the injuries caught up to him, and that's exactly what happened. Again, it is what it is. I was optimistic about San Francisco. I thought they could keep it within a touchdown. Obviously, that was not the case, but I will mention this right now. There was a point in that game, it ended up being basically the final drive, final full drive, as the Niners did get a Hail Mary attempt to close the first half, but the Seahawks' final drive of the first half, the Niners get a stop. It's 3rd and 2. I believe they went to Charbonnet. I think that was the play Charbonnet got hurt on. The Seahawks, who tore his ACL, so that's another thing. Again, you don't have the 1-2 punch anymore with Ken Walker and Charbonnet. It is all Kenneth Walker now. But it was a 3rd and 2. I think it was a toss or a handoff to Charbonnet, and the Niners get a stop. The game at that point, it's an 11-point lead, I believe. It's 6-17. Yeah, it's 6-17, and the Niners are getting the ball back to kick off the second half. So Niners get a stop on 3rd and 2, and they call a defensive holding on the nose tackle for holding the center. I mean, it's one of those plays, and you can make the case about every play in the National Football League, just in football in general. If you want to really call something, 9 times out of 10 on every single play, you can find a tick-tacky holding call. You can find anything that you want to call. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a completely clean play. That's just how the game works. So those refs, again, I'm not going to call that game rigged, obviously, because the Seahawks won it 41-6, but it's the little things that turn that one. Niners get a huge 3rd down stop. They're getting the ball back with 2 minutes to go, and they get it coming out of half. Hell, at worst, a field goal for San Francisco makes it a 1-score game going into halftime. Instead, they call a defensive holding on a 3rd and 2 where the Niners get a stop on a D tackle. Seahawks extend their drive, score a touchdown. Now it's 24-6. Niners get the ball back with 20 seconds. There's no opportunity to put up more points. Again, Tonjes almost had that Hail Mary catch, but obviously it was incomplete. Now San Francisco is going into half down 24-6. Again, it's the little things. I'm not telling you if the Niners don't get called for the holding and get that stop and end up returning the punt. I'm not telling you then the Niners are going to this game and going to LA for the NFC Championship game. All I'm saying is that the little things do change games, and that was a huge momentum shifter. San Francisco was desperately looking for another stop, and they were going to get it, and they did get it, and something that didn't affect the play ultimately held them back. Again, Seattle was the better team. I'm not denying that. You can't win a game by 36 points or 30 36 points. Nope, 35 points. And not say they're the better team. They obviously are. I'm just telling you that little thing when I'm watching the game, and obviously I had Niners plus 7.5. That was frustrating. Now, going back to Seattle versus Los Angeles, I believe the Rams are in a good position here. I really think so, man. I know, again, that last game they did lose. They blew a massive lead without Devontae Adams, though. Los Angeles is up 30-14 in that game. Game changes when Matthew Stafford and the offense get the ball back up 16 in the fourth quarter. They go 3 and out. They have to punt at their own 10-yard line. Rashid Shaheed, who obviously had the opening kickoff return last week against the Niners, has a 58-yard punt return. Then the Seahawks get the 2-point conversion. Immediately, Rams go 3 and out against Stafford, who played great, kind of choked, let's be honest. Then Darnold right away hits A.J. Barner for a 26-yard touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion. Rams get the ball back. They're almost in field goal range. One drive, they have to punt. Second drive, Harrison Mevis has a game-winning kick from 47 yards out. He misses. Game goes into overtime. Rams get the ball first. 41-yard touchdown, Stafford and Nakua. Then the Seahawks get the ball. Darnold touchdown pass to JSN. And then the game-winning 2-point conversion to give the Seahawks the victory and ultimately control in the NFC West going forward. Again, razor-thin game. And I understand the Rams have not played the best football so far in this postseason, barely getting by in Carolina against the Panthers and needing a late-game comeback drive against Bryce Young and Carolina to win. And then last week, almost losing to the Bears again. If Caleb Williams doesn't pull one of the greatest plays of all time, though, out of the bag, that game is over in regulation. We have a much different tone going into this game because, well, it was the Rams going into cold and snowy Chicago and winning. And ultimately, that's something that I thought was going to heavily affect the Rams, and it did, I thought. The weather. I mean, we saw Stafford look good early, and then as that game continued, yeah, the cold weather, I thought, really played a factor into Matthew Stafford's play. And I get it, it's going to be relatively cold in Seattle, but this is not something that is crazy, though. I mean, again, Chicago in the snow at 20-something degrees is different than Seattle at 41 degrees. Again, that's cold, but it's not crazy cold like below freezing is. So I'm not really too concerned about the Rams playing with the weather here. It's not going to rain. It's going to be just, cloudy like Seattle always is. And I think the Rams are going to go into Seattle and win the football game. Guys, again, that defense is phenomenal in Seattle. I'm not denying that, and I'm a little scared about the Rams defense going into this game. But eventually, guys, and I will keep hammering this, and if the Seahawks win this game and go to the Super Bowl at this point, I will not say anything about this point going into the Super Bowl and going into the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, but Sam Darnold still has to win another playoff game. He got over the hump and won one, but guys, let's think about this too, though. How many mistakes were made by the Niners? And again, a lot of credit to the special teams and defense of Seattle, 100%. But Darnold was given 2 short fields to start that game. Niners don't get it on 4th and short because they go toss an option with Kyle Juszczyk and Christian McCaffrey. What the hell was that, Kyle Shanahan? And then they go. And they also go, this isn't a decision, but Jake Tonjes fumbles on a 1st and 10 on a 20-yard completion. So Darnold immediately is given 2 short fields. He's given a 7-0 lead immediately, and he's playing a team that is not punching back. The Rams will punch back. Matthew Stafford probably going to win the MVP this year. Super Bowl experience. You've got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams with that offense. Yes, again, is the total defense as good for the Rams? No. Obviously, you know what Jared Verse can do in that front line. Secondary, we will see. But the Rams offense is going to punch back against Seattle. I don't think the Seattle defense is just going to be able to overwhelm the Rams. We've already seen it before. The Rams have been perfectly fine against this defense. They're not going to be overwhelmed in the NFC Championship game. And again, they will punch back. So I'm taking the Los Angeles Rams to win this football game at 2.5. If it moves to 3, then sure, that's a great play. I'm going to go plus 130 for the Rams. I think they go into Seattle, and I think they win this game outright. Seahawks are a good team, but guys, I am waiting for the Sam Darnold meltdown. And if he doesn't melt down in this game, then, well, it is what it is. He's probably going to win the Super Bowl, and Sam Darnold is going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Not if Jared Stidham has anything to say about that. And of course, again, I think the Broncos are winning this week in Denver. I think they have a worse chance, though, obviously, to win the Super Bowl compared to the Patriots. I think a big factor in that game this week, again, is going to be the Patriots' history at Mile High, and the fact that, well, the Broncos are at home, they're in their environment. So next week or in 2 weeks in the Super Bowl, yeah, I think the Patriots would have a better chance, but I still think it's going to be Jared Stidham, Sean Payton, and the Broncos in that game. What the Rams cannot do this week is make the game easy for Darnold, because that's 100% what the Niners did. Darnold didn't have to do really anything. Again, guys, Sam Darnold did not post the best stat line, but his team wins 12 for 17. Again, he started pretty poorly, but, finished out well. But 12 for 17 for 124 yards. Ken Walker was great, and that's going to be a big factor in this game. Can the Rams stop the run? But the thing is, there's no change of pace back anymore. There's no Charbonnet in the equation. It's just going to be Ken Walker. I think the Rams, again, going up against Cooper Kupp, we'll see Kupp and JSN versus Devontae and Puka Nacua, at least just the receiving cores and the receiver duos on both sides. As long as the Rams don't make this game easy on Darnold, which they have, they've made it tough for him in one of the two, really, both the games they played. In the second game, it was just until the final 8 minutes of the game. Again, Darnold gets bailed out by his special teams, and that's great. Again, that's what makes an all-around great football team. If the pressure's on Darnold and again, the focus of the game is on him and his ability to respond and continue to score points against the Rams, I don't think he pulls through. Again, he was gifted a 7-0 lead to start. He was gifted a short field that turned into a field goal, then another short field that turned into a touchdown with a 40-yard field to go, and all of a sudden the Seahawks are up 17-0. And the minute that game could have flipped on a stop for the Niners when the score was 6-17, there's a penalty and a defensive holding to extend the drive for Seattle, which ultimately, again, they carry that momentum to win 41-6. I'm telling you, momentum and pace is a big thing in this game. The Rams are going to force Darnold to beat them, and I don't think Sam Darnold's capable of doing so. If he wins this week, you're not going to hear me, rag on Darnold anymore. I think the Rams win it, and I think we have a Rams-Broncos Super Bowl in Santa Clara, again, for Super Bowl 60. Folks, thank y'all for watching our AFC and NFC Championship game predictions here for, obviously, the NFL playoffs. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back in 2 weeks for, 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. And obviously, make sure to check out our best bets dropping later in the week as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba